Morning folks, I'm Dave Canterbury with the Pathfinder School. I'm preparing to set up to brain tan a beaver hide. So we're going to do a brain tanning video, a hair-on brain tanning of a beaver hide. But before we do that, I need to start a fire. And I wanted to show you today in a quick video a technique called the fire tube. Now I've heard this called the Sammy fire tube several times. My buddy Morgan Garrett calls it the Sammy fire tube. But I can't find any exacting documentation that makes it specifically a Sammy technique. I would suspect that because it involves birch bark, it was definitely a northern technique, but it could have been used by Native Americans of northern Canada. It also could have been used by the native peoples of the far north, like the Laplanders and the Sami as well. But I want to show you this technique real quick. It's real simple, real effective, and it's a great way to start a quick fire in a wintertime environment. Stay with me. Okay, so in prepping our fire lay, we have a good pile of kindling over here. We have some finer materials here. And then we have what's going to be our fire tube materials here in the center. And I've scraped out a whole bunch of chunk wood and things that were laying in here wet like this, because I'm going to use those later to smoke this hide when I'm done brain tanning it. We'll talk about that later. So for now, we just need to get a fire started in here so we can warm up some water for part of our brain tan process. So I'm going to take, I have a lot of different materials here. This is just some shreds of material that I've used when I was scraping with my knife. So these are just different types of woods that I've scraped down with my knife to make different projects out here, spoons, you name it, things that we made on the stump vise in past videos where we've scraped it down. I've taken all those shavings, those fine shavings, stuffed them in the pocket of my haversack so I would have them for a bird nest later. I also have some tulip poplar bark here that still needs to be processed down. And that's easy enough once it's dry and dead, and it's been in my haversack as well. And this was dead poplar bark that I harvested when it was a little bit damp. Now it's pretty dry. And I don't need to get this real fine because I've got some finer materials and shavings there, and I need some stuff in this tube that's going to be longer lasting. I need more coarse materials. So I need to combine that with the finer stuff. Then I just need a piece of birch bark like this, and this becomes my tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out on the ground here, and I'm going to put these materials, I've got some birch bark here as well, some river birch bark, and I'm just going to put all of this material with the finest materials to the front or the top right here, just like this. And I'm just going to roll this up in a loose roll. It doesn't have to be real tight. In fact, you don't want it real tight. Just like that. Okay, once you've got this tube made, you're just going to need to wrap something around the tube to hold it in place. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be just a piece of cut off bank line that you got laying around. It could be some cordage that you have, spare, natural cordage, anything like that will work. And I'm just going to pull that down and just tie it off real quick in like a half-hitch fashion. Again, this doesn't have to be anything that's holding really tight. It's just holding this together while I'm using it. And if it burns away, it's spare cordage that I don't care about. Okay, so we're going to use flint and steel for this fire today, and I've got a steel here and a piece of flint, and then I've got a piece of charrable cotton here material that I've got pre-charred material wrapped into. And it doesn't have to be cloth necessarily. It could be any type of char you want, whether that's a natural charred material, some type of a punk wood, or some type of fungus. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you've got a piece of charred material. And then we're just going to get this ember going real quick, just like this. I'll lay that on the ground while it's burning, because it's not going anywhere. I got time. Get this fire steel and stuff put away in my kit real quick. Okay, put it in the tube and we'll blow it to flame. Lift the camera up a little bit so you guys can see this maybe a little better. So we're just going to put that inside the tube and add air. You want to hold this thing up a little bit so you get air rising through the tube. And once you get that flame, that's going to give you quite a few minutes if you need it, at least a couple minutes anyway, to get your fire started. You can lay that in your fire lay, let it start to burn, get the rest of your materials for your fire lay in there, just like this. Fire loves chaos. I don't try to get particular with my fire lays. I just like to throw a lot of loose wood on there and give it plenty of airspace to breathe. Can you smell that, Rufus? Can you smell it? Good boy. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. Man, look at that fire go.